Well, then, yeah, now that we're thinking this out, that sort of cocks everything up because,
You say
when does
cocks
Oscar?
everything up?
Yeah, it cocks it up. Right.
Never heard that expression. What do you mean? Just throw a bunch of dicks at it?
A whole bag of them.
A big old bag of donkey dicks.
Ah, I spot the cheap pops. You're on the air.
Speaking of, by the way, did you catch the flamethrower?
Oh, yeah. That was the one way he was able to get any heat.
Oh!
Excellent.
That was a good one, Vladi. I didn't see it. I was on vacation, and I was in the middle of a field on several different chemicals, so I wasn't able to watch this paper. I did see highlights. The thing with Darby kicking him in the face when he was hung upside down, that looked. I mean, it looked like a brutal match. I'm sure Meltzer gave it 17 stars because he always does that for the Anarchy. The flamethrower really chapped a lot of people, though. Wow, what did you think about the flamethrower? Did you think it was? It's a spectacle. What do you want to do? I mean, I think people flipped out about it. What happened? Was the difference between that or like John Cena getting blown up from like when him and Orton did the big blow up spot, or I mean, we've seen explosions before. Don't forget that devastating explosion after the Moxley and Omega barbed wire death match. That was scary.
It made Eddie Kingston a legend.
Remember his excuse for that? He was like, I had a panic attack. Okay. Is that what it was? Or you didn't know it exploded and you...
So we were
it looked like
about,
Orange Cassidy's pyro that he comes out with.
Yeah, in regards to the flamethrower, it's like, I think about it the same way you do, where it's like, okay, it's a spectacle, I get it, but then I'm also thinking like, all right, where do you draw the line next? Is it just, is it an AR that's being brought out next? And, where do they keep on upping the ante? And Darby happens to be often involved in these moments, which is something. And you know what? Like, there was another thing. Take it for what it is. I believe Martha Hart was there that night too,
with one of her stupid hats.
She's always with those hats.
What is going on with those hats, Martha Hart?
I don't know. It's like every day is the Kentucky Derby with her. But again, she's in the building, and then they go and suspend Darby Allin from the roof of that place, hanging upside down. And I'm like, again, it's just they're tone deaf.
I didn't mind that. It just, if you're going to set someone on fire, maybe he shouldn't be the one who gets the pin. Maybe he shouldn't be fined about 2 minutes later and get the pin on one of the greatest wrestlers in the world. Or like the one time where they had their exploding shoe super kicked at John Moxley's face and he got up in 90 seconds. Like, those are the kind, if you're going to have these spots, make them mean something. Make them count. And they don't. It's indie bullshit. Sorry, folks. I mean, I love AEW. I'm the biggest proponent on this show for AEW in many respects. But Jesus, come on now. Make it mean something. Make it make sense. And they've been struggling with that, and this is certainly no difference here. And we've seen AEW do this several times. A lot of times. They have this big, amazing spot, and then the guy's in another spot 2 minutes later. Let it mean something. For Christ's sake.
That's a very valid point. Very valid.
What do you do with MJF now, Vladi?
Oh, you know what? Like, his whole return there, like him, like wearing like the Triple H like denim and leather. That was a bit of an interesting message. He had such a great line about he wasn't made by New Japan or Vince McMahon, and that MJF made MJF. Classic. I mean, and you know what? You look at that locker room. He just called them all out. Really, it was great.
Well, he needs to go back to doing that. That's what that's the MJF we all fell in love with.
Yeah. So,
stupid mask. He called that the devil mask stupid, and
he spit on it and threw it into the crowd. And I'm like, that's why I was really cool with that segment, because I'm like, I realized that we're not going to have to go through some prolonged bullshit feud with him and Adam Cole and his group of jobbers. Like, like we just avoided all that. Forget what he called them.
Something.
Yeah, he was none too.
It's a hard, mediocre faction at best, especially now that Adam, the only top star around, is hurt and seemingly going to be hurt for a while. How do you hurt your leg this long, though? It was only a broken foot.
I don't know. They don't address it. They don't mention it. I don't get it. I I don't know. I don't want to speculate either, But
I guess Britt Baker's the same injury because she's been out for 2 years as well. But
yeah, and that's another one. Like, what's up with that? Like, I don't get it. But
they're doing okay with the women's division, though. I think their women's division is as good as it's ever been right now. Which, by the way, clearly not saying a lot. But you have more women doing more things, and they're more interesting. I like the Chris Statlander heel turn, even though we kind of thought that was coming. I actually thought Sasha was going to turn. I'm sorry, Mercedes Moné was going to turn heel as well, and she didn't. They just had a straight match, and then Statler came in and turned, which I thought was interesting. I would have rather look. Moné's not popular. She's already getting booed. Half the crowd hates her guts already. So why would you keep going with it? There's nothing worse than when you're trying to get a baby face over and they keep on getting booed.
Yep.
And that's what's happening with Mercedes Moné. And I get you're paying her $4 million a year.
Yeah.
Or whatever the case may be. But the fact remains that she's not a great baby face. She's never been in her entire career, except for maybe when she went against Charlotte and they traded the world championship every 3 weeks, which was why Charlotte has like 15 championships already. But that's a whole other point. But what do you do with MJF? Do you thrust him into the world title picture, or which I think they're going to do if you're done with Adam Cole already? That's probably going to be the case, right?
It could be the case. Now, let me ask you this: the Martha Hart or the Owen Hart tournament, right?
Yes.
Did they already give you stipulations on that? Like, who the winner gets what?
World title match.
That's that.
I think it All In too, wasn't it? All In.
I think so. I mean, that if that's the case, then that's probably his way to get into that world title match.
You have to. If you're gonna put MJF at the top of that card.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you have so many moving pieces going into All In. You have Bryan Danielson's last day, allegedly. You don't know what you're doing with Will Ospreay. He's got the international championship. And that's the other part. Why give him the international championship if you're going to give him a world title shot? He just won the international championship Sunday, and on Wednesday he wins a world title shot at a major pay-per-view.
Yep.
It's very.
It doesn't strengthen that title if he has the job.
Convoluted, dude. I don't know what Tony's doing here. Again, I think Will loses, and I think it's going to be a struggle to win the world title. I really believe that. And that I'll be okay with it, but there's no reason to have him lose to Swerve here. There's no reason. You could have Swerve face anybody, particularly people from New Japan. And so I thought it was very interesting. My boy John Luxa, who's a big fan of ours, I was talking to him, and he's one of the he's more positive about AEW than I am, right? And he's like, what the hell is Tony doing? Referring to Will Ospreay, because he's a giant Will Ospreay fan. He's been a Will Ospreay fan since before he turned heel in New Japan like 4 years ago. So he's just like, what is Tony doing right now? And this is very delicate. You can't blow this. You have MJF and Will Ospreay, and you got a couple of major stars, major talents. You can't blow it. You can't. Yeah. That said, it sounds like they're going to get a TV deal, though.
Yeah, let me just add one thing, though. All things considered and how they've gone, the direction they went here, I probably would not have gone and given them that international title and faced Roderick Strong for whatever reason. Just go and have him compete in the Owen Hart thing himself without consideration MJF. Have him win it, which brings more prestige to that tournament.
Yeah.
And then have him win it in Wembley.
And not only that, you don't have him win the same exact kind of match, the same one in about 3 or 4 weeks.
Right.
It's beyond me. This was really poorly booked. I'm not disappointed on where we're going, but it could be a lot better.
Yeah.
That was our big gripe with Vince McMahon all those years. WWE could have been so much better. Now we see how good WWE could have been the whole time.
Yeah.
And that's just what we want. We just want AEW to be better, but does sound like they are getting a TV deal. There's some rumors, there are reports that it's not going to be as big as Tony wants, but it sounds like WB and Discovery, it looks like they're going to be investing in AEW. So that looks good. Obviously, I'm not going to count my chickens until I know and I hear it for a fact. But It does look pretty good that since WB and Turner and all them, they did not get the NBA or the NHL, I believe. And even if they get the NHL, so what? So I think AEW is probably in a better position than they were 6 months ago. However, the buzz isn't there, and the excitement of the brand isn't there. So, it is what it is. So with MJF, so you think MJF should win the Owen Hart Cup, and then he headlines All In against either Swerve or whoever else?
Well, then, yeah, now that we're thinking this out, that sort of cocks everything up because,
You say cocks everything up?
Yeah, cocks it up. Right.
Never heard that expression. What do you mean, just throw a bunch of dicks at it?
A whole bag of them.
A big old bag of donkey dicks.
Thank you so much for watching High Spots and Cheap Pops. For Vladi Dottie, this is Silicon Steve Alley. Hit the subscribe button and let us know what you think. Thank you for watching, and here endeth the lesson.